There is no scathing attack on the judiciary. The attack is on the leadership of Martha Koome, and we should focus razor sharp on where the problem is. It's a problem of leadership. Which Kenyan has hope that the Supreme Court will side with the Constitution? They've become a political court, serving political interests. And they must be called out. And Martha Koome is exemplifying that institution's failure. And I do support the quest to remove her. We need somebody who can serve the people of Kenya with true fidelity to the Constitution and the rule of law. You see, they want to talk about leadership?
Yeah, get it.
This is a leadership failure. And Martha Koome has failed the people of Kenya in terms of access to justice. In all that, when they come to speak as Supreme Court, give us a new building. I mean, are you mad?
A very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candy Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evan Sokinyi, and I'm here with Wakili Willis Otieno. Wakili, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, a lot is actually taking place within this particular country, even in the corridors of justice. We've seen that kind of onslaught against the Supreme Court judges, a number of them, that petition that has been filed by Nelson Harvey alongside other lawyers in this country who actually want a number of Supreme Court judges to go, rather leave office, being led by, of course, the Chief Justice, Martha Koome. Do you believe that the lawyers who decided to go ahead here, are they in order to do this? Other people also believe that maybe they are working for somebody else, they're working behind the scenes to ensure that they interfere with the judiciary before the 2027 general elections.
You know, the first thing that I must say is that the bulk of our judicial officers in the magistracy, the High Court, Land Court, Employment and Labor Relations Court, Court of Appeal, the bulk of our judiciary is doing so much to dispense justice to the people of Kenya. And we commend them for the work they've done and that they keep doing. Many of them have stood firm on the side of the rule of law. And even in the face of threats from the state, they've been faithful and they've exercised fidelity to the rule of law. And we must commend them. But the Supreme Court is our weakest link here. What's the kind of, and especially as led by Martha Koome, she's the one who is the weakest link in this judicial quest to ensure access to justice. What leadership does she provide to the entire institution? And we must discuss her leadership. When you look at some of the cases that have gone before the Supreme Court on questions of good governance and the Constitution, the High Court says this about the finance bill. Court of Appeal, same position. It goes to Supreme Court, they come up with their own rulings. It's like they have their own constitution. The fact that you're a Supreme Court justice does not mean that you have a 2 times size of a brain than a High Court judge or a Court of Appeal judge. No. The Constitution is the same. And I'm very irked about the finance bill decision they made. For the simple reason that, in fact, that case was anchored on a previous advisory opinion they had given. Because it provided you need to have your budget. And the budget must have estimates of expenditure and estimates of revenue. That is their decision. They're the ones who said it. And for you to say that you have a balanced budget, both must be there. William Ruto's government goes to that same court, and they say, by the way, we don't even need to have estimates of revenue. So what are you budgeting on? No, what are you budgeting on? Because a budget is based on revenue, what you've earned. I expect to earn the following. So I'm budgeting based on my earnings. Hence, my expenditure based on the earnings, revenue. They had said that before, in 2020. Then this one comes, they say, oh, you don't need to have it. High Court, Court of Appeal said you need to have it. Then they say you don't need to. Because they're undermining the rule of law in this country. They're a threat to our nation. So it is well in order for questions to be asked about them. When a judge of the High Court was threatened, and even his security withdrawn by the executive, just for issuing an order for somebody to comply with a court order, his security was withdrawn. Did you see Martha Koome call a meeting to even condemn, even a presser, or issue a statement to say no, stop interfering with the decision on the independence of a judge? She didn't defend that judge. There was a flimsy defense issued by Judicial Service Commission, not the head of the institution. When Uhuru Kenyatta was threatening judges here, Maraga would appear alone and say, no, you will not intimidate us. So it's a question of leadership. I may not have much to say about the particulars in the petitions which have been presented, so I've not looked at them. But if you just look at the institution today, which Kenyan has hope that the Supreme Court will side with the Constitution? They've become a political court, serving political interests. And they must be called out. And Martha Koome is exemplifying that institution's failure. And I do support the quest to remove her. We need somebody who can serve the people of Kenya with true fidelity to the Constitution and the rule of law.
We call it the home of engineers. We train you how to make engineering drawings. We have a brilliant drawing and detailing program that will not only train you how to draw and detail, but you'll also learn how to draw and detail using the software.
AutoCAD. By the time that you're going to university, you'll be able to do AutoCAD by yourself. Imagine if they are asking you to just do that project for them.
Once you have these tools, you will not only be industry ready, but you will be ahead of your peers in the job market, and it will give you a brilliant competitive edge while looking for a job.
I would like to advise the students who are done with maybe high school, and also if you have graduated from university colleges and you've done a course related to civil engineering, building, architect, so that you can join here because it has a lot of practical works.
Welcome to SciTech.
Not somebody who panders to the whims of the executive. The judiciary exists as an independent organ of government to check primarily on excesses. And the number one committer of excesses is the executive. As she's there dancing with the executive everywhere, that even what is so obvious, what even them they had said before, what the High Court has said, what the Court of Appeal has said, they can, at the whims of the executive, abandon it. Why? So, we don't have a leadership in the judiciary, and we must say it. I will say it publicly and openly, fearlessly. There is a leadership crisis in the judiciary, so that even the hard work of the rank and file of the institution, from the magistracy to the High Court to the Court of Appeal, the hard work that they are putting every morning, toiling every morning, in the face of so many severe hardships, people are not even noticing. How many judges, for example, have not been given their vehicles? When's the last time that even judges got their vehicles maintained? Judges are paying for their own maintenance of their vehicles from their pockets. How many courts are sharing one room? Go to Makadara. This one in Jogo Road. It's called Makadara. You will find one courtroom is shared by 3 judicial officers. Where? Which justice is that? That one court starts at 8 to 10. Another one comes at 10 to 12. Another one comes at 12 to 2. What nonsense? Then when they meet the president, they say, we want to build a new Supreme Court building. So they have a building here. If anything, they don't even sit every day. They want to put up a new building, Supreme Court building, so they say. And yet in Makadara, you have judicial officers, magistrates, who are serving the largest judicial jurisdiction in East and Central Africa. There is no court station that serves the highest number of people like the court in Makadara in terms of the population and expanse. No court like Makadara. 3 magistrates are sharing one courtroom. So cases cannot continue. You go there for hearing of a case, they take one witness. There are 5 witnesses who come to court on that day. They only take one, adjourn the case. You are given a date far away, 1 year away. The next time you appear after 1 year, they listen to one witness again. Why? Because there's no space. And yet the leadership thinks the problem is we need a new Supreme Court building. There are only 7 judges sitting in one room. There are many rooms that are empty here in Supreme Court building that they don't use. If anything, most of their proceedings, they do them virtually. Why are they not speaking about Makadara law courts? That those magistrates who are serving in strange circumstances. In the same Makadara court is where a magistrate was killed by a police officer because she was doing her cases in a tent. You see, they don't talk about leadership?
Yeah, get it.
These are leadership failure.
So
And Martha Koome has failed the people of Kenya in terms of access to justice. In all that, when they come to speak at Supreme Court, give us a new building. I mean, are you mad? Are you mad?
Talk to us about the integrity questions that have also been raised in the same petition. Of course, leadership was one of them, but of course there is that part of integrity and how they handled the post-election presidential petition.
I will not want to talk about the integrity questions because I've not read the particulars of the petition on integrity. I was only speaking on leadership, which is something I interact with as a lawyer. Practicing in those courts. I can authoritatively speak about the leadership of the institution, and I will tell you Martha Koome has failed the institution.
So tell me, this has been actually filed before the Judicial Service Commission, a commission on which Martha Koome, the Chief Justice, actually sits as well. So legally speaking, what's the way forward? What do we actually expect?
Once the petitions are received, you expect the JSC to process them. And Martha Koome, being an accused person, she cannot appear or attend or participate in the proceedings of JSC that will look at the petitions. She will have to recuse herself, and Isaac Ruto will have to preside over the matter because she's now conflicted. So we do hope that there will be a formal process where the complaints will be taken through. They will be invited to give their responses to each of the complaints made against them. And we do hope that JSC will do the Kenyan people justice. Just in similar vein that the complaints have been shared publicly. The responses must also be shared publicly for us to be able to assess if indeed we are going through a fair process of determining if there is merit in the petitions or no merit. And if there is merit, then the JSC will recommend for constitution of a tribunal. Which tribunal, if it's constituted, the proceedings must all be held publicly. We are cleaning this country. This thing of doing things behind the door, closed doors, should end. Because these are public offices maintained by the sweat of the Kenyan people. So do everything publicly, transparency. Show us how you arrive at a decision that the complaints merit or not merit. Show us how the proceedings were conducted. Show us the responses. And Kenyans are intelligent enough. They'll be able to tell if, based on the evidence presented, if there was a case that merits a tribunal, or these are just the cries of Avi and Ahmed Nasir that don't require a tribunal, but put it out in public. Because the main thing is that we have to bring confidence in the institution. And JSC should not adopt a practice that undermines the institution of its confidence. That has to be rejected.
Okay, fine. Let's look at her response. Of course, before even the presentation of this petition, there was that kind of pressure that was piled on the Chief Justice to actually resign and call it quits so that somebody else can actually occupy that position. But she came forth and said, look, why would you want me to resign yet? I have a tenure here. And at the same time, according to her, she does not have any reason whatsoever to resign.
You know, individual interests do not supersede constitutional dictates. If she does her own soul searching and she thinks she's doing the judiciary or the Kenyan people a favor by staying in office, that's also okay. But I will only ask Martha Koome, having seen what is happening in Makadara law courts, where 3 judges, 3 judicial officers are sharing one courtroom. And when presented with a platform to advocate for institutional reforms in the judiciary, your number one request was to build a Supreme Court building to serve 7 judges who don't sit every day, who even when they sit, largely sit virtually. And even when they hear presidential petition, don't sit in the Supreme Court building. There's a ceremonial hall at Milimani where they sit. In light of all that, against a background of Makadara, where a magistrate was shot dead by a police officer, your priority is your Supreme Court building, not giving justice to the people of Makadara, the people of Eastlands who access those courts. If you're okay with that kind of a leadership, then we leave it to your conscience. Your failure to stand up when that judge, security was withdrawn, and you refused to speak in defense of the institution and the decision that judge had made, and you are pandering to the executive, when that judge's security was compromised, then we leave it to your conscience to decide what you want. If you think that you're serving the people of Kenya by doing all of those, continue. But if you have a conscience, like I do, you will come to a different conclusion. If you think that the decisions you've made as a bench, where you've turned the Supreme Court to be a court that hears all matter of disputes, nowadays they even hear succession matters. But there's only one difference: the quantum of the estate. That some people, their succession matters can be heard at the Supreme Court because the quantum of the estate is worth billions. While other Kenyans, with similar succession disputes, you say you don't have jurisdiction. Their matters cannot go to the Supreme Court because the quantum of the estate is 100,000. Fair enough. That will leave to your conscience. If that same conscience allows you to say that a Kenyan government can come up with a budget that only has expenditure and not revenue, and you call that a budget for the Kenyan people, fair enough, continue. But you leave it to your conscience. If you think you've been applying the rule of law and living true to our constitution, fair enough, continue serving. If you have a conscience.
Wakili, there are people who actually believe that there could be some sort of external hands behind all these, what they actually call scathing attacks on the judiciary, according to them, in the Supreme Court.
You know what you should do is separate what you call attacks on the judiciary. I don't believe there's attacks on the judiciary. I'm telling you, in the magistracy, in the High Court, Land Court, Employment Court, Court of Appeal, we practice in those courts every day. And I can tell you there is no scathing attack in the institution. And a bulk of those officers are toiling in difficult circumstances. Why should you attack that magistrate in Makadara? They have to share one courtroom, 3 magistrates in one day. I mean, that's a very hostile work environment. And they appear there every morning. Somebody waiting comfortably for a time to come to go to court. Another one, they are toiling. There is no scathing attack on the judiciary. The attack is on the leadership of Martha Koome, and we should focus razor sharp on where the problem is. It's a problem of leadership. And you should not try to drag the entire institution to cover for our institutional failures. She's the one who has failed, not the institution. Because I don't think there's any day that the courts in Kenya have failed to turn up. In fact, most courts you can predict when they are sitting. Say for sometimes in December, on the 10th of December, Martha Koome decides to release a circular inviting judges out of the blues to go and attend a seminar on Human Rights Day, on human rights, here at Safari Park Hotel. We wake up in the morning to go to court. All judges have been pulled out to attend a seminar. The Human Rights Day is 10th of December. It is known. And it's been like that since I don't know when. You want to tell me, for the whole of, from January 2024 to December, she didn't know there was going to be a Human Rights Day and I needed to hold a seminar on that day. Do you know what she did? She disrupted the entire court proceedings. Those of us with cases on that day could not proceed. 10th of December, now matters were collapsed. You are given dates next year in September. What is that now? You want to say we condemn the institution? No, we condemn the leadership. If it was diarized, put on the calendar, we all ought to have known. Nobody could have given us a date of 10th of December. Now you have to explain to a client, oh, your matter was taken out because the judge went to a seminar on human rights. And the client will ask you, which human rights? Even me have a right of access to justice. Can they practice what they are doing in their seminar by granting me justice? So we need to be very careful. The problem is not the institution. The problem is the individual manning the institution. She is the problem. The problem is a leadership problem exemplified by Martha Koome. Those judges who don't have are using their own personal money to maintain their vehicles. Some of them even to buy their fuel. Is that a problem of the individual judges? No. It's the leadership. Why has she never spoken about it? That I have judicial officers here, they're entitled to have their vehicles maintained. They're entitled to get fuel. They are not getting. Has she ever spoken about it anywhere? No. Is it factual? Yes. Judges are struggling here. Judges are suffering. They are not like me who can speak. They are dying inwardly to preserve the integrity of the institution. Me as a practitioner in those courts, I will speak, and I'll speak for them. Our judges deserve what is the entitlement. And the person who should be advocating for this is Martha Koome and the judiciary, the leadership. They are not. Kenyans don't even know what those judges are going through. Huh? And that is an issue that we need to address. I don't care where the problem with the complaint is coming from. But the substance, it's an invitation for us to look at the quality of leadership we have in the institution. It is wanting. It is wanting on administrative leadership, but at the Supreme Court level, it's even wanting on the adjudicating mandate, which now they've reduced to become a watchdog for William Ruto. And we must call them out. It's my truth. I'll speak it comfortably, fearlessly, and bravely. She has failed the institution of the judiciary. Judges will not speak about it. Judges will not speak about it. I will speak about it. And other lawyers will speak about it. And other Kenyans will speak about it. Are we getting value for money from Martha Koome? We are not.
This also raises a lot of questions on how do we then get some sort of a long-term solutions to some of these problems that we actually find, owing to the fact that there's a time in this country when people actually failed to believe in the Supreme Court, and other people, other Kenyans felt that they were somehow compromised. So how then do we solve this particular problem? And even if the judges, the Supreme Court, of course, the Chief Justice are successfully taken out of that particular office, how then do we get in the right person here?
No. The main thing is we need to get a person who has still, a leader who believes in why they want to lead an institution like the judiciary. Maraga, for all its faults, when it came, when it mattered, he turned up. When the election was rigged in 2017 by Uhuru Kenyatta, Maraga turned up and he said, look, you are declaring results using fake forms. You can't even, if you rank up your computer, open the server. And I'm sorry, the law was not followed. I nullify. First in Africa, third in the world, first in the Commonwealth. He did it. When judges were being harassed, Maraga stood single-handedly, even when they withdrew funding to the judiciary. Maraga will call press conference on his own to speak against it. When it required Parliament to be dissolved in obedience of a court order, Maraga issued the edict, dissolve Parliament because it doesn't comply with the Constitution. And there's a court order to that effect. Implement the court order. He did. So when it mattered, he turned up. But this one,
Let's wait and see what happens till then. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been a conversation on what is taking place at our judiciary right now. We are keenly following on that petition that was brought on board by Wakili Nelson Harvey, and who actually seeks to have a number of Supreme Court judges leave office on various accounts. Let's wait and see, but our team is on the ground. Stay tuned. We shall keep you updated. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi.